What did Jim Rohn mean when he said, formal education will make you a living, but self-education will make you a fortune? Here's what we're talking about here. You know two circles that represent the three-part nature of our being. You are trifold beings. I don't think I need to explain that to anybody in this room, but just in case. You're a spiritual being. If you don't like the word spirit, you can use energy. Gifted with an intellect, living inside a physical body. For now. It's a meat suit. Help you get round this beautiful blue spinning rock of ours. Tripart being. So you've got the body, and we know this to be the mind. That's a bigger circle on purpose, because the non-physical side of our life is far greater than the physical side of our being. Can everybody see this, by the way? Is that table not getting in the way? All right, just make sure everyone can see what we're doing here. And as you know, the mind, I'm sure, has many operations, but we're aware fundamentally of two. The conscious mind and what I call the unconscious. Some people call that the subconscious. Conscious mind is your thinking mind. That doesn't necessarily mean you're thinking. It just means that you have the capability of thinking. The unconscious is your emotional mind. It's where you feel life. This is the creative process. The thoughts that are impressed on the unconscious are expressed by that part of your personality, the non-physical side of your personality. Spirit will always manifest itself in its polar opposite. That's another natural law, the law of polarity. For every up there's a down, for every in there's an out, for every hot there's a cold, every male there's a female. It expresses itself through its polar opposite. We express those expressions. Energy in motion is known as actions and behaviours. They put energy. This part of your personality puts energy into motion as actions and behaviours, and that creates results. Now, a thinking person who understands themselves as the cause of their effects, a thinking person says, if I want to improve these things called results, and I know them to be effects, what is the immediate cause of my results? And we know that's our actions and behaviour. No big surprises there. But then the thinking person says, okay, if my actions and behaviours are effects, what are the cause of those? Here's the level that very few people go to. You see, the personal success industry will tell you that you change your thinking, you change your life. That's true. But it doesn't elaborate enough on what it means in terms of how you change your life. Let me explain what I mean. You see, the cause of your effects here, you would say, well, surely it's the quality of my thinking that determines my actions and behaviours. Yes and no. Because the thinking person then asks, what is the cause of the effects I know to be as my quality of thinking? What is it that's influencing how I think? And when you ask that question, you find the cause, the ultimate cause of all of your effects, which is something called beliefs. And here's the thing, folks, here's what I don't know many of you very personally in terms of what, how you live your life and so forth, but here's what I do know about you. You're a product of your environment. And all of these ideas that you hold so dear, some that you're aware of, some that you are not, you did not originate. You did not originate those ideas. You arrived on this beautiful planet as a blank canvas, waiting to be moulded. And boy, have you been moulded. If you want to change the word moulded to programmed, I've been programmed to the hilt. So have all of you. And these ideas were poured into you when your mind was like this. Up until the ages of between 4 and 6, this part of your mind had not fully formed. This part of your mind gives you the ability to accept, reject, or neglect any idea that is presented to your consciousness through some outside source or one that comes through your imagination. But your unconscious, the unconscious within you, it doesn't have the ability to do that. It just accepts. That's why you're such a phenomenal learning machine when you arrive on this planet. If you're in a house where they speak 13 languages around you as a baby, you would speak all those 13 languages. As long as they're spoken on a regular basis, all 13, with no problem at all. Say you learn to walk, talk, ride a bike. Then this thing develops. Scientists reckon that if we were born with a conscious mind, if we had the persistence to do it, we'd be well into our 70s before we were able to walk. Because we'd be continually saying, you get up on your feet, and this walking stuff is for other people. I'm just not made for it. Incredible. You are an incredible learning machine. However, there's another side to that law of polarity. The ideas that are said and thought and transferred around you are imprinted on that unconscious, and you don't have the ability to reject or neglect them. You know no different, and they get buried there. And so these ideas are playing out into your life because your belief systems shape the quality of your thinking and continue to be the architect of your actions and behaviours, and ultimately your conditions and circumstances are shaped by your belief systems. And as long as you remain consciously unaware of these ideas, they will play out in your life. That's what I'm talking about, self-education. What have I taught you about the word educo? It comes from the Latin word meaning to draw from within. It doesn't mean information and data or opinions or belief systems or truths of other people being poured into your mind. It means to draw from within. It means you become conscious of the ideas that you have inherited in your life, and you are willing to evaluate them in the light of your consciousness in terms of if they serve you or not. Now, there's a lot of ideas that everybody in this room has about wealth, their worthiness of wealth, their relationship with money, that are not particularly healthy. And if you're wondering whether that applies to you, take a look at your bank account. That'll tell you how healthy your relationship is with these ideas. We all have them. A great teacher 2,000 years ago said, "By their fruits you will know them." You will know the consciousness of the person that you are dealing with by how they behave and the results they generate. That's what I'm talking about, that level of self-education. You are all coaches, and this is the impact of the coaching process. You see, you pour information into the top half of this, which is what your school did, which is what our entire adult education system is built upon. Let's stand at the front of the room and give you a load of information and data and just chuck it at you while you sit there doing what you're programmed to do, which is just sit there and look at it all. I am too. And lots of information gets acquired here, of which over 70% is lost within 4 to 6 weeks. Meanwhile, what is it that Ralph Waldo Emerson said? Of what point to make great vows of amendment? I'm going to lose weight, I'm going to earn a lot more money, I'm going to build my business, I'm going to be this, I'm going to be that. Of what point to make great vows of amendment if the same old lawbreaker is going to break it? Bingo. If you fail to go within, you will go without. That's why what you do for your clients, when you ask a coaching question, and this part of your mind, your intellect, in an instant knows it cannot answer it, automatically and instantaneously accesses the unconscious, the most powerful part of you, that life intelligence that exists within you, sorry folks, there is no separation. That intelligence is within you. That is, intelligence is you. You are it, own it. You cannot behave in a divine way unless you accept that truth about yourself. Accesses the infinite intelligence within you, draws that answer, that belief system into the light of consciousness. There you get to modify that belief system. This belief system here, therefore, is changed. It creates modified action and behaviors. It creates modified results. That is the creative process. That is self-education. That is how you transform your life. Everybody with me? So number one is self-education. Now, why is this important for you as an entrepreneur? Why is it so critical on your journey from technician, coach, business owner to entrepreneur? Here's why. It doesn't matter how many ninja tactics, what great mechanics of building a great business there is. If your psychology does not sponsor wealth generation, if you are carrying a heavy load, if you are taking an employee mindset into an entrepreneurial life, if you are in mass consciousness, you can have all of the strategies of the highly successful entrepreneurs, and believe me, there's a science to success that the vast majority of business owners do not know, and that's why they get the results they're doing. But it doesn't matter, because if this bit isn't right, if your psychology here is not aligned to that outcome, you will not persevere and be disciplined in those activities that have a disproportionate impact on your results. In fact, you won't even know them because you won't go looking for them. You will follow the well-trodden path to struggle, underachievement, and abject mediocrity, which is where you'll find most business owners. They never liberate their lives because they don't own a business, they own a job. And that is why my proposition to business owners in the world begins with: develop the owner, not the business. Because if you don't get your thinking right, Paul Martinelli said to me years ago, I said to him, what's your greatest fear as an entrepreneur? He said, my greatest fear as an entrepreneur is that my business is subjected only to my quality of thinking. And that's why he spends all his time improving the quality of thinking he's bringing to his business. Most business owners don't understand themselves as a cause of their effects, so they don't think like this. Develop the owner, not the business, is not a strategy they live into or even consider. They don't invest in improving themselves and their quality of thinking. But if you're going to improve your quality of thinking, you've got to be willing to go here. And going here takes courage, folks. It means you've got to question your most cherished beliefs. You know those beliefs that your mum, your dad, your pastor stands there on Sunday and talks about? Hey, that's the toughest job of all. Because most human beings are not willing to go there because they're that entwined with those beliefs. They cannot separate themselves from them. I'm not kidding. I work with a psychotherapist, and God knows I need her, let me tell you. And she tells me that she works with people for 8-10 years or more, and you think, well, aren't you doing your job? But she's just helping them navigate day-to-day life, because if she used the questions she's skilled in to rattle these, they wouldn't stay in the physical world long. Because that structure is everything they cling to in life. There's a lot of people like that. You've got to be courageous and brave enough to be able to question your most cherished beliefs.